I spit Patron on this microphone. Watch out, I'm in the zone, worth for everything I own. Life is March Madness, one mistake, then you go. Yeah, I had a stroke, but your boy still rhyming. And Fresh got locked, but the squad still wildin'. Catch me in any city in the hood, we grindin'.
Next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros are comments made by Terence Crawford. Now, I'm not going to say anything because, like, if I would say it without you seeing it for yourself, you would call me a hater or all types of things. So I'm just going to play the comments for you, and then we're going to dive right in.
He thought that if a fight between you guys didn't happen in 2021, he didn't think it was going to happen at all. Talked to Errol Spence last week, and Terence. Talked to Errol Spence last week, and he said he thought that if a fight between you guys didn't happen in 2021, he didn't think it was going to happen at all. I don't know what you thought about that, and if you thought. Obviously, I know you're not looking ahead past Kelp real quick. If it doesn't happen with a fight with Spence doesn't happen in 2021, do you think it's just kind of going to go by the wayside?
Yeah, it might. But like I said, I never really felt like I really needed Errol Spence for my legacy of my career. I've accomplished so much in the sport of boxing that, I really didn't need him. Yes, I needed him for my legacy at the welterweight division and becoming a two-time undisputed champion in two different weight classes. But if that fight don't happen, I don't feel like, it hurt my legacy. It just hurts the legacy of the welterweight division.
So, if I would have told you that TC said that, I probably would have been the victim of so much hate content or hate comments on YouTube. But Trill Dollar Bill, what's your reaction to Terence Crawford saying he feels like if the fight with Earl Spence doesn't happen in 2021, it's going to fall by the wayside, and he doesn't need Earl for his legacy?
But you seen TC smirk. He smirked. I wish. TC, I'm gonna tell you the truth right now, man. It would not hurt your career if you didn't fight Earl Spence. You're 100% right. It would not hurt your career. It will definitely not hurt your career if you didn't fight Earl Spence. But it will definitely hurt your legacy. That you guys, people have debates. Who's the 1 and 2 guys? You know what I'm saying? Who's 1 and who's number 2? Who's over here? People keep going back and forth. For that fight not to happen, that will hurt your legacy. Why you think that Hearns and Leonard got it on? Like these certain fights have to happen for people's legacy. Even if you lose in a fight, it still goes towards your legacy. Like you fought, people talk about Hearns and Duran, Duran and Leonard the first fight, even the No Mas fight, man? These fights had to be made for these guys' legacies because these are the fights that we talk about. Hagler and Hearns. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd had to get it on. They had to. For these guys' legacy. I don't think it would hurt your career. Nobody would say, if they go back and look and say, he didn't fight everybody, look at it, he got all these wins, and he did this, like you said, you was undisputed in one division, you came and you was champion in another division, people are going to say he had a good career. They're not going to say you had a bad career. But as far as legacy goes, this will hurt your legacy. Legacy and career is two different things. That's my take on it.
All right, G.
Yeah, he literally said it hurts the legacy of the welterweight division, but not his legacy. I'm like, fam, think about what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you're campaigning at 147. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when people are thinking of welterweight division, your name always comes up. But if you don't fight the other person that always comes up, then it goes, bro, you're missing a name on your resume to be legendary status, at least in that division. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you was the man at 140, but at 147, you're just another good fighter. For you to be the best in that division, you gotta beat the best. So to me, it's like it doesn't make sense what he's saying. Like what are you talking about? Like, yeah, it'll mess up the legacy of the division, but not my legacy. Like, bro, you're in that division. You know what I'm saying? So by default, it messes up your legacy. Unless you're going to magically say, hey, you know what? I'm dropping weight or I'm going to move up in weight and then pursue a career at 154 or something. Then maybe, you know, but if you're staying in this division, like meaning you're going to retire in this division, 147, and you're not fighting the top dogs in 147, it doesn't make sense. Everybody wants to see Spence versus TC. Everybody. If you don't do that fight, bro, there's no way you can front and be like, oh, my legacy is secure. Like, no, it's not. You know what I mean? It's still missing a name, and it's missing Earl Spence. That's it.
Ned?
Nah, that is crazy. That's a crazy comment by him to say that, yo. It's just like, my legacy won't be hurt, but the legacy of the welterweight. That's so contradicting itself. Like, you are pound for pound. You're so-called pound for pound. You're 1 and 2 in that division, and if that fight never happens, it tarnishes your legacy. Like, that literally doesn't make any sense, man. Like, it just for him to come out and say that, it just shows you like he doesn't really want that fight, and if it doesn't happen, he's not bothered by it. So, like earlier, like I remember when we were having having these debates about Wilder and AJ, and we was like, who's ducking who before the smoke cleared and settled. It was just like, yo, if this fight doesn't happen, it's bad for boxing, yo. The heavyweight division needs this fight. And now when the truth comes out, like, you know, it just shows you like all of this, like some fighters aren't really like some fighters don't really want to step in the ring with the boogeyman, and it's sad, yo. It's sad to see that he really got on camera and said that, yo, and that's how he's feeling. He just want that Pacquiao payday, and then he's all set.
Like, a few things. So, it won't hurt his legacy. He's right. Sadly, he's right. It won't hurt his legacy at all. He's 100% right. It won't hurt his legacy because the people who are proclaiming that he is the best in the welterweight division have already given him victories over Earl Spence Jr., Danny Garcia, Keith One-Time Thurman, and Sean Porter. So he doesn't need to fight him. Why fight him? Why? His fans have already given him the victories over these guys.
I was going to say.
So when he retires, his fans are already going to say, oh, Terence Crawford was better than Sean Porter. Well, how do you know? Oh, he was better the way he beat Gamboa, the way he beat Benavidez Jr., the way that he beat Cain Velasquez. Come on now. And then once he beat OK, they're going to say he's better than Sean Porter because he beat OK. But Sean Porter fought Special K. See, that's what they're going to leave out. Right? And even if he beats OK, Earl Spence beat Special K when he was still special. Right? But I heard his team, oh, Earl Spence was lucky to beat Kell Brook. But he beat Kell Brook when he was Kell Brook. He beat Kell Brook when he still had Eddie Hearn on the side. He beat Kell Brook when Donald was in his corner. You're going to beat the concession Kell Brook. You're going to beat the Kell Brook that when everyone pulled their stock out on Kell Brook. That's the Kell Brook that Terence Crawford may beat, may not, because, you know, he might get exposed too, the same way that Fury exposed Wilder. But for right now, let's talk about it. It's not going to hurt his legacy, because even if you look at our comment section, what you would see is, well, I guess you guys didn't see when Terence Crawford called out Earl Spence. And Earl Spence said, well, why wouldn't I fight Sean Porter? And why wouldn't I fight Danny Garcia before I fight you? So he was ducking. So then riddle me this. Why does Terence Crawford want to fight Manny Pacquiao before he fights Earl Spence? By that logic, would it not be ducking? By your logic, smarty pants, would it not be ducking? You see what I'm saying? This is what I mean by keep that same energy. Your energy's off for one person. That's called bias. For me, I'm the same across the board. When I spoke about Terence Crawford a long time ago, I said there are a few opponents I will accept for Terence Crawford. Manny Pacquiao was one of them. I will accept him fighting a Manny Pacquiao. But a Kell Brook, not Special K, okay, that's what he's fighting. So come on now. All right, so let me get this straight. When TC ran up on Earl Spence, and Earl Spence said, why wouldn't I fight Sean Porter and Danny Garcia first? You considered it to be ducking. Why wouldn't it just be better business? Why wouldn't it just be someone who's confident? Confident he would beat Sean, confident he would beat Danny. He beats those two guys. He elevates himself to superstar status. And then when he shows up to TC, it's like, well, what have you done? Which is what's happening, because he's someone who's not just talking about it, right? He actually went and did it. He went and he beat Sean Porter, got into a car accident, could have backed out of the fight with Danny, but said, no, my plan's intact. Give me Danny. And so he's still going to fight Danny. What did TC do after running up on him? What did he fight? Gamboa? Kavalauskas? Go ahead, build him up. Lie to me. Tell me Kavalauskas was that dude. His fight before Terence Crawford was a majority decision against Ray Robinson. Majority decision. Lie to me. Tell me Gamboa was that great. Gamboa hit the canvas like 18 times in his career, and he was outboxing Terence Crawford. I could run through his opponents, but I won't. I could have actually done an audit on TC if I wanted to, but I actually like TC as a person. It's not, to me, it wouldn't be me. It's his fans that just don't want to be real with themselves. So why is TC not ducking Earl Spence right now? Earl Spence has a fight December 5th. Terence Crawford has a fight November 20, well, at the end of this week, November 14th. He has a fight. Did it look like he advocated hard enough for that fight? Did it look like he pushed hard for that fight? When they said that fight can go by the wayside, he was like, yeah, it can go by the wayside. And, it won't hurt my legacy at all. Hurt the welterweight division, but it won't hurt my legacy. This is the guy. You want to bring up videos from years ago telling me that he tried to call out Earl Spence. Talk to me about today. What happened recently? What happened recently? Don't tell me about yesterday. Don't tell me about yesteryear. Talk to me about today. Recently, what you heard was him say that he's okay with the fight not happening. And if it doesn't happen, it won't impact his legacy. It will hurt the welterweight division. When given the choice of who he wants to fight, Manny Pacquiao or Earl Spence, he chose Earl. If you thought Earl Spence was ducking when he said he'd rather fight Danny Garcia or Sean Porter before he fought Terence Crawford, then you must take that same logic and say that Terence Crawford is ducking now. Like I said, my blessings are always on time with you people. You dig what I'm saying? You just dig a hole, dig a hole, dig a hole. You put yourself in the air. I just kick away the chair. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. That's what I mean. Keep the same energy. So you should be saying from this day forward that Terence Crawford is ducking. The sad part is, with every face you see on this panel, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we're not about that. We don't want to hear who's ducking who. We don't want to hear this person call out anyone. We want to know, did you make the fight happen or not? That's what we're about. I don't want to hear Earl do. I'm going to bring it to Earl too. Soon as Earl don't make the fight happen and TC's doing, I'm going to bring it to Earl. But that's not what I see right now. I see a group of men fighting each other, a group of men, they're playing Game of Thrones with one another, and I see one guy in hiding saying, oh, if they come over here, I'll chop their head off. That's what I see.
And when the time comes, he's going to go to 154.
But he was always, that's why I said these guys haven't been paying attention. This dude has always been a step behind the killers. And that's what I mean when they're talking about, oh, DSG ain't never did nothing. How about this? DSG was at 140 when the killers were at 140. He was at 140 when Matisse was there. He was at 140 when Lamar Peterson was there. He was at 140 when Amir Khan was there. What was TC? 135.
He went to his credit. He would go up to 140 to fight Prescott, but then went right back down to 135.
Oh, I'll take Prescott and then go back down on 135. See, this is what I'm saying. Actions speak louder than words, right? Oh, so then when Danny Garcia moved up to 147, that's when TC decided he was going to campaign at 140. But when Danny moved up to 147, so did Amir, so did Lamont, so did Matisse, so did all the killers. The division became wide open. So then Terence said, I'll move up to 140. Cool, I'll let it rock. But don't lie to me like the guys he beat were Matisse, like the guys he beat were Lamont Peterson. Y'all want to hate on Danny. Even at 140, Danny was taking on Morales and guys who had better resumes than the people that Terence Crawford was fighting. So Danny goes to 147. Y'all want to hate on Danny.
And Danny was fighting a prime Amir Khan. Wasn't a Amir Khan who was getting dropped by Canelo. You know what I'm saying? This was a different Amir Khan.
Didn't even dominate Amir. TC was fouling Amir Khan out of frustration, looking very basic, looking like a basic cable fighter. Oh, by the way, what is he fighting on? Basic cable. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all I'm saying. Like, you got all these TC fans want to attack and shoot bullets, but facts are facts.
Hey, TC's biggest fight is Jeff Horn.
Yeah. And if TC thought he can beat Danny, why wasn't he at 140 when Danny was there? Why? Why wasn't he at 140 when Danny was there? He moved up, Prescott went back down. Why didn't he stay? Why did he never call out Danny then? This is what I'm talking about. It's all for show. It's the same way Wilder want to file a lawsuit right now. It's the same. Come on, man. You want to win in the court of public opinion. It's cool. TC fans, just remember you're the reason why he feels like his legacy's intact. He doesn't have to fight any one of the killers in the welterweight division because you are already going to give him victories over them. And you guys hate on Danny Garcia so much, you might want to read his resume. He beat Zab Judah when Zab Judah was better than anyone that Terence Crawford is still faced to this day. He beat Zab Judah, beat Lamont Peterson, beat Lucas Matisse, beat Eric Morales, beat Amir Khan when Amir Khan was still fresh and in his prime. Come on, man. Stop it with the games. When Danny was his second L, right? Danny was Amir Khan's second L. Amir Khan had the loss to Prescott when he lost during the month of Ramadan when he was fasting. And then Danny Garcia is the one who beat him. Danny Garcia is the one who started the trend of everyone knocking out Amir Khan. But y'all give Terence Crawford more credit for doing it years later. This is what I'm talking about. Run through Danny's resume. Y'all sitting here talking about why we defend Danny. We don't defend Danny. We just sick of people hating on Danny. So now you say we hate on Terence because we point out to you how you guys are the hypocrites hating on Danny. Now you want to say Kell Brook is better than Danny. Come on, man.
I see TC's blueprint though. I see it though, and I know what he's gonna do next. After this Kell Brook fight, you know what I'm saying? Because he got the WBO welterweight belt. He might go up to 154 and fight the guy who got the WBO belt for 154. And then everybody's gonna say he's a 3-weight division champion. There's a guy named Patrick Teixeira, and he got the WBO belt at 154. I bet you they'll try to make that happen next.
You know what? That wouldn't surprise me one bit. But for me,
3-time world champion in 3 different weight classes.
Oh, the best pound for pound. Here's all I'm going to say to everyone, and we can just leave it at this. You better hope he can get past Kell Brook because he did struggle with Amir. He had the worst time of all the elite fighters I've ever seen with Amir Khan. That's the truth. He had the hardest time with him. So look, this is what I'm going to say. For me, Terence Crawford must fight one of these guys, at least. Actually, he should fight more, but at least one. Earl Spence, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, or Sean Porter. If he goes through the welterweight division and never fights one of these guys, how can someone ever claim he was an elite welterweight? How? It's a joke. That's it for me. His legacy.
Hold your breath, Hayden. It's not going to happen.
I already know. Oh, and Manny Pacquiao. I forgot. Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah. That's probably the only thing. Then after that, he gonna go get that easy money. Patrick Teixeira, you better watch out. 154.
And Pacquiao was supposed to be ducking him, but now he's confident he can make a fight with Pacquiao in 2021. So what happened? Was he really ducking you before? So why are you so confident you can make a fight with him now? How is he not ducking you when he's older? Like, yo, a lot of this nonsense doesn't add up.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter, and also check out our podcast on all major streaming services. I'm Tro Dollar Bill. That's Caden. That's G. And that's the TBE right there. That's Ned over there right there.
Yes, sir.
Boxing book.
We could have been flawless, flying enough to make people's mouths drop jawless. How can 2 years be erased in 1 August? And you know I have my pride, so I had to get brolic. All in all, I can't call it. Just know you're my queen. Wish I was denim, cause then I be in your jeans. Can't fight fate, and you've been loving me since your teens. But when you can't move forward, you gotta wipe your slate clean.